Alright, welcome. Here's my LMT LMT Nitro. It's a completely custom build. I was going after an OEM look, but don't let that fool you. This isn't the new LMT, nor is there a kit available to convert your own truck identical to this. But there was some interest in how I built it, so I will do a few videos leading up to obviously the run video that everyone wants to see. For now, the truck is pretty much in its final layout here. There hasn't been any Loctite applied, so the next video will be me taking it apart and showing you all the pieces I had to make to kind of put it together. My choice of materials in this, it's got a LMT 454, which is a 0.28 engine, LMT pipe. It's got an 8T air filter, LMT strap for the battery. Obviously a LMT LMT roller chassis is how this started out. This chassis is incredibly narrow, so if you're going to tackle this, you're going to have a few choices to make. My first instinct was to widen the chassis, but I decided there was just too many consequences, like steering, cage fitment, on and on and on. It made more sense to try to keep this truck at its stock width and at 60 to 66 millimeters wide. Compared to trucks I'm used to working on, Kyosho Mad Forces, I've spent about 2 decades building those trucks. I got my first LMT brushless roller about a month ago, and as a gaff, before I put the motor in it, I dropped in a nitro engine in its place. So a buddy of mine said, "Oh, wouldn't that be cool if LMT made a nitro truck?" So that kind of put the bug. I like to try to see if things can be done, then it will be done, and this truck's kind of evidence of that. It did come together fairly nice. So everything is built around, and my choice and reasons for this was a Revo transmission. Now, I don't know anything about Traxxas or Revos or anything like that, but what I did like is this transmission has a lot of upgrades available for it, like rear disc brakes, which it doesn't have right now. I'm going to see if it needs steel gears. It's a 2-speed forward with reverse, so this truck does have reverse, which was very important to me after years of nitros that had no reverse. So I wanted to make that work if I could. So there was some consequences to it, which I'll show when I tear down the chassis, but all in all, it's come together kind of nicely. I'll give you a few views here. Being a nitro, obviously this won't work with the body installed, but I made an effort that the truck can be refueled with the cage on. Glow plug access, I have to use a long reach glow igniter to do it, but it can be done. Truck has only been upgraded with a Reefs 777 servo, T-reel servo saver and rear wheelie bar. And the nice thing is, all those other hop-ups that you would do to your brushless truck can really be done to this. Things like chassis braces, maybe not so much, because that's where the custom stuff comes in, but axles, shocks, you name it, all that stuff would still work on this truck. So I'm happy with that. Looking underneath, right up front, you can see the disc brake. The Revo transmission has a huge disc brake with bonded pads, which I really like. So that was another reason to choose this transmission. Other side of the truck, we can see sway bars are different. I'll get into that once I do the chassis, but the biggest thing that a lot of keen eyes won't notice is that this piece right here is what comes on the stock LMT. Now, I didn't want any lingering reminders that this truck was ever a brushless truck. It can be put back to brushless quite easily, but what I ended up doing was using 2 left side plates. Okay, so big reason, once I get into the chassis, you'll see the throttle servo is all installed pretty much right in this notch right here. Now, I've added some bracing, and again, you'll see all that in the teardown video, but all in all, that was a decision I had to make up front. Was, did I want to have, modify the brushless, have the motor mount and everything still showing? And I chose not to. It cost me another chassis plate set, but well worth it to me to have something that looked factory. All right. Looking at the rear, we can see the Losi 454 engine, and now some effort was put into this. The engine that I actually purchased, as Losi doesn't really make engines anymore, was a non-pull start engine. So I literally pirated the crank. Losi's 454 is an SH engine, so I stole the crank out of a Big Red .28 engine, which was pull start, which allowed me to do the rotostart. Okay, so easy access, as you can see there, to start the truck with a rotostart in the back. Nice touch. Everything else in the truck, pretty standard. Everything like the cage pins are still all stock. I'll pull all those out. So one thing I did differently here, running the reef servo up front, that's a 14 volt servo. So to get its power out of it, I'm actually running a 3S battery, which is powering everything on the truck. So a 3S battery, it's smaller than a 4S battery, but it's still a very big. I have a 42 mAh battery in here. You can see the cage. In order for me to open it, I'm going to have to unplug this and the direct power to the servo. I actually mounted the battery right to the cage. Okay, so that opens just like stock, showing you everything here. You can see the battery mount right directly to the cage. Coming back to the truck, there's the TL pipe mounted to the 454. This is a buggy style pipe, and it fits absolutely beautiful. The truck, the wheelbase has been extended in the rear, so that helped a lot. You can see my rear shock mount is about as far back as you can go. It's been stretched 19 millimeter, 3/4 of an inch, and that was just win-win. So I think the truck, even my brushless truck, got a longer wheelbase in the back because I just thought it needed it. So the layout of the truck, it's a stock Losi receiver box. I've cut off the ESC mount. Again, just an attempt to use as much stock Losi LMT stuff as I could. We have two servos here, which are the brake. One is for brakes, so I'm running a separate throttle servo and a separate brake servo, but with my radio I can mix the channels, and that's how it works, because it would be way too complicated to try to have one servo reach all the way back to the throttle when it's buried in the middle of the truck. So other servo is the reverse servo. Fuel tank is a 100 cc. That's the biggest I could get into this and still clear the front servo saver and everything else. Castle BEC mounted right up on one of my custom machine mounts. This is basically, there's three other servos on the truck that aren't 14 volts, so I'm just running 3S to the steering servo, and the 20 amp BEC is powering everything else in the truck. So again, fuel tank, easy access. Other side of the truck, we can see how I've mounted a throttle servo on the side of the truck. All of this fits inside the cage. We have manual throttle control. And what's actually shocking is this is one truck where I didn't have to fight to get full throttle. It basically right out of the gate. So a little bit of mechanical forethought ended up working out really well in the end. So this is the AT filter mounted, fuel line, fuel filter, you know, all your standard nitro stuff. So Other than that, we'll leave it at that for this video, and we will start tearing the truck down in the next one and see what makes it tick. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.